Hey everybody, Steve Coker from Dexiverse Development, and I am their game designer for the Adventures of Dex Dixon, the board game. Today we launched on Kickstarter and so far have raised a little over $7,000 towards our goal, which is pretty fun and exciting. There have been some conversations around the size of the box and it not being very clear, and so I thought it might be kind of fun to do a little video talking about our box for the game and giving you a little history on the evolution of that, because it started about probably a little under 2 years ago when we were looking at creating an actual playable and beautiful looking prototype. So I knew that the game boards that we had for that were a certain size, and so I kind of decided to design the box to fit that exact size. This is me being a very unexperienced designer and reaching out to the company that created our box and our prototype tokens. I gave them the dimensions for the box, and it was a non-standard size. And so I was a little shocked to find out that each of these boxes that I was going to have created were going to cost about $85. So I don't know how many of you have created a prototype. It's not an inexpensive process. Let's just say that you're going to spend anywhere from probably $200 to $400 for each of your prototypes, and I created 5. So right off the bat, $85 a pop went directly to the cost for the box, and so that box looks like this. So this is pretty much just kind of, I'd say just under a foot on each side, and it was going to accommodate the entirety of the game. So that was our first iteration of the box, and it was fine. It was fine for taking to some conventions and to just presenting it to people. But very quickly, when we started talking about expanding some of the components and some of the elements that came with the game, and also by buying games and seeing how difficult it was for expansion materials to fit into the box for the core game, I started thinking it might be wise to create a bigger box that could accommodate those things, even if at the point of making the game, we didn't have all the expansions figured out, but we did want to plan to have expansions. Some of those things now would include some of the dials that we're going to have for our deluxe or as an add-on for the game. The additional 3 expansion decks that will have sleeves. All of these things add a lot of room being taken up out of your box. So we went ahead and now this is the funny part. When I ordered this particular box, it was actually a standard size box. So this ended up costing me about $50 a box. So it's pretty big, you can see, thick. Let me show you a comparison of the two. If I can get them back far enough so you can see the difference. Also, discovered that the type of printing that we did and the type of paper that we were using, it affected how the game box looked. And I really like this beautiful black and white version of the game. One of the stretch goals will be some spot gloss for this. So you can imagine how cool that will look if we achieve that stretch goal. But this box is much larger. We didn't change the size of the boards. We just decided that it would be best to do this, add a custom plastic insert for a stretch goal as well. Probably my favorite stretch goal of all. And then we would then have room in that box to add the add-ons and the additional content that people might pledge for on the Kickstarter. So that was a pretty fun. But I learned a lot about the planning. So on the next game that we're designing, I will think about that from the very beginning and accommodate the idea behind expanding or making sure there's room for sleeves or any of those other premium items that you might want to get for your game. I also think we had initially talked about minis, and though we did design some minis, we decided that it was taking too long to get them approved. There was some work that needed to be done on them, and I just wasn't happy with the quality, so I didn't want to include them in the launch at this point. But they could become a goal if we fund really, really well. I might reconsider taking that trip. Also, maybe making the STL files available to anybody that wanted to 3D print them at home, or eventually getting to the point where we feel like we can afford to take the time to make those minis. But for now, we're just talking about the box. But I'm excited to continue the campaign, and I hope you guys are enjoying learning more and more about the game.